Okay, everybody, I seem to have caught the bug. I've been sitting in there, I've downloaded the last video to YouTube, and I thought, I need to do more. I want to do more. I'm actually thinking of taking the car out for a drive, even in this heat. But, so, I thought what we'll do is we'll go through a few of the controls, see what I can show you. So, how about, we'll start on the left-hand side here. You've got a vent. In fact, you've got a vent on either side. It's a very simple arrangement. There's a scoop just on the bonnet. It's just fresh air straight in. Two little levers, bring them together, it's shut. Oops, if I get that out of the road. Bring them together, it's shut. Push that one up, you can direct it on the windscreen. There is another vent here for the heating. Or you can just get it on yourself, or you just close them. You've got two blank warning lights there. There's nothing in those. That's your blinker indicator, shows it's working. Now, put the glasses on so I can see what I'm doing here. So, the first of these is just simply a test for your brake fluid. Push that on, your little brake fluid light will come on to show that it's all correct. Middle one, hazard lights. And the next one is your single speed wiper. I'm not going to put that on, it's the windscreen's quite dry. Ashtray. Then we have oil warning light, the test light for your brake fluid, and then your hazard warning light one. So you get two for the hazard warning light, not quite sure why. Down the bottom, you've got a full width parcel tray. Get rid of the demisting can be an issue, so I tend to have paper towels and things for that. Full width parcel tray, gear change I'll get to in a minute, handbrake. There's a power takeoff there, so it's a lighter socket. It does have a little switch as well, so that I can run things if I need to and charge them. This little lever directs the air either up to the vent here or push it away from you down onto the floor for heating. You've then got blinkers on this side, and that's literally all they do, just the blinkers. Steering wheel. This side is your multiple control, which does your lights, high beam, low beam, parking light, and also horn. You've got a speedo buried down in here, and to be honest, because I have to wear glasses to see things, that's sort of out of my focal range. So it's got miles an hour on the outside. This is an English built car, or an English market car. It does have kilometers, but honestly, I can't see them. They're orange, and certainly the ones up the top I can't see. That little obstruction there is actually your wiper motor. So a left-hand drive car would be a little bit better set up. You've then got a fuel gauge and an amp gauge, and that, for instruments, is it. This side, a little lever, cool air, move it across, hot air. It just opens, moves two flaps. I'll do a proper engine one later and can explain it better. But because you've got an air-cooled engine, you've got cowlings all around it. Under normal conditions, and where this lever is currently set, the heat from those cowlings is all directed through out beside the wheels, under the front guards. If you move it across, that heat then comes up into the car to work your demisting or your floor heat. I know that Oliver from the Oliver Picard page, with his lovely little 63 2CV Jolene, he says how brilliant the heating is. This one is average, put it this way, average. And that's even with the grill muff that you put on the front of it for winter. So let's get to the more obvious controls. By the way, I should have told you, this is a 1979 Dyane. Exactly the same as I've mentioned before. Underneath, it's a 2CV. It's got a different body. It's got a slightly more powerful engine. A couple of other little changes. They route the air for the carburetor from the actual cowling, so it is slightly fan forced. It does make a very small amount of difference. Standard layout on the floor: clutch, brake, accelerator. No power assisted brakes. They are front discs. They're inboard on the front. They're drums at the back. They're extremely powerful. They're very good. People often Now we'll get onto this gear change. People often get confused by this. Again, this is slightly different to the 2CV, and here I'm no expert. Oliver could probably point it out, but from memory, that's currently in neutral, and from memory, that would be in, I think it's more upright in a standard 2CV, because the spare wheel sits under the boot, and effectively the gear change linkage sits up inside the spare wheel. It has to sit slightly over. So it's a push-pull system. It's actually very easy. It's a beautiful little gearbox. So you turn it across to your left, pull back, and that's first gear. Straight forward is reverse. So it's always weighted to the second and third plane. So we'll go back to first. So that's first. So if you push it in, she'll pop up and then just go straight into second. Pull it straight back, you're in third. And again, now we have a slight change. In the early Citroën 2CVs, you would now turn it there and push straight into fourth. In the later ones, you go back to neutral, across and down, and you're in fourth gear. So first and fourth are on a dog leg, and the reason for that is that second and that third are your two main gears. They're the ones you use in the bulk of the time. So unless you're really cruising along and go into fourth, you are literally just going poop, and it's that easy. That's the pressure that it takes. It's that simple. So second, third, simple. Handbrake, it's not, although it's an umbrella style handbrake, it's not a twist one. It's just pull slightly, push the button in at the end and release. I know on the earlier ones like Oliver's, you twist it and it's basically a piece of bent metal, and I believe it's quite easy to knock off. The other trick that you've got with this one is this little collar. The button can actually be turned and it won't go in. So it's sort of a safety device. I suppose it'd be very handy if you have kids in the car. So otherwise, normally it just sits there, push it in, release. You can just see in the dark a button on the floor there. It's not high beam, that's controlled by your combination one on the right. This is actually your windscreen washers. It's just a little foot pump, but it works fine. Ignition switch there. And I think that's about all there is on the inside of these. I don't know if we can see it in this. I think I've got it angled too far down. I haven't got the roof open. I'll do a separate one on rolling the roof back and attaching it. I've actually got a sunshade in here. You can just pop the front of the roof back. People often, I get people in the car that have never been in it before, and even ones that haven't been in it for ages. And the biggest problem they have is getting out, because there are no door handles anywhere. Nowhere. Nowhere. No, you got to know what you're doing. Finger up under there. It's a little knob. Pull it back. Door opens. Very simple. Back seat's the same. These ones can only be locked from the outside, because all you're doing is literally just locking the center of the button so the button won't press in. They're always open from the inside. The back one has a little lever just on the edge in a lock or an unlock position. And you can't access that from the outside, obviously. Oh, my poor car's dusty. The trouble is everything's dusty here at the moment because we've had ash, we've had smoke for weeks now. So everything just gets covered in dust. And I haven't had her out for a little while, so new steering wheel I put on just after I got her, because the old one's hanging up on the wall of the garage. The previous video probably did show it. I didn't point it out. It has a large cover over it. I don't know what was underneath. That cover didn't seem to want to move, so I've left it there. And this was not expensive. I actually have a sports version, but I don't really like it. I mean, I like it, but yeah, I think I'll stick with this one. It's a wooden rim wheel with 3 spokes. Very nice, but this is the traditional single spoke for the upmarket spec 2CVs. So if you have the clubs, would normally come with a single spoke. The lower spec specials would have a twin spoke one, and the earlier ones have a metal wheel with a single spoke across from the steering wheel. Boss, all metal, just painted metal. This is a hard but rubberized material. Comfortable to use, small, easy to turn. You know, as I said, I'll do a video out driving it, and they're absolutely fun. God, they're fun. I reckon it's the most fun you could have with your clothes on and at low speed. They're not that slow. Up hills, a bit like the Model T, up hills, slow. You know, I've done some hills in first gear, and this is the bigger engine. They're not fast for uphill, but God, you get them on a flat road and a windy road. They love those. They go around any corner. They'll out handle just about anything. The seats, I don't know if people are aware, but on the earlier models, the seats are more like a hammock. Basically, they still are under these, then they're just covered with a bit more foam and a cover to make them look like a standard one. They've still got a piece of material up the middle, which is just held on by hooks and large rubber bands, basically all the way up the sides. They're exactly the same underneath, they're just covered over. One little lever and you can slide them out. You can use them for picnics. If I take the dogs anywhere, I often just take this front seat out, and Edsel, particularly my greyhound, he'll just sit here. Quite often actually he sits with his bum on the back seat and his paws at the front, but then he's a big dog. So very easy, you can cart people around. Anyway, we'll leave it at that for a minute, and if I get really keen, I'll set this all up and we'll go out for a longer run. Might even take it for a drive. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Okay, thanks for that. See ya.